you just do what you want to do and you're not really following God. But then when things get bad and you know that there are people that are pretty committed to God, you go, hey, can you do me a favor and pray for this? But in your head, you're like asking them to pray for it because you don't think you're going to receive anything from God, but you're still taking these measures this way and doing this that way, and you're just trying everything. So, oh yeah, prayer won't hurt. Don't expect to receive an answer or anything from the Lord when that's your attitude. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm always excited to talk to you guys because there's so much to share, so much wisdom. Have you been living your life of audacious faith? I hope so. Have you been daring to say and believe that you are here for more than just the ordinary, the average, that God has created you to do something big and something great in your life? Do you have the audacity to believe that? Well, how do you know what to do, though? That's the question that we're going to tackle today. How do you know what to do, and do you want wisdom? How do you get it? How do you know? There's so many that want to be able to give you advice today, telling you what you should do, where you should go, how you should go about something, putting their 2 cents in. Sometimes it's good, often it's not good. How do you really know? And that's what I want to go over with you. I'm going to go in the book of James chapter 1, and I love this. It starts at verse 5. It says, hey, if you need wisdom, would that characterize you today? Are you a person who needs wisdom? What is wisdom? Wisdom is not knowledge, all right? Knowledge are just facts, things that we know. Wisdom is what a lot of people lack today. That is the ability to actually take knowledge, stuff that's inside, and actually be able to apply it in a way that God would want us to do. If you need wisdom, this makes sense, ask, right? Ask who? Our generous God. I love that. You know, a lot of times people have needs in life, and there are some that maybe can fill those needs, but this is what you find. You find that people are, I was kind of afraid to ask. Yeah, I thought about asking so-and-so, but I was afraid to ask. I didn't know how they'd respond, and plus, I didn't know that they could really help me. But it tells us right here in Scripture that if you lack wisdom, you should ask of our generous God. He's a generous God. Don't be misconceiving his character, thinking to yourself, oh, he doesn't want to help me. No, our God wants to help us when it's according to his will and when it will be to our best benefit of what his will is for our life. Ask our generous God, because our generous God, it says, he will give it to you. All right? He'll give you that wisdom. Now, you may say, oh, so I asked God for something and he's going to give it to me. No, it depends what it is. We're not asking for something. We're asking for wisdom. We're asking for how to know what to do, the decisions that we should make. Don't tell me that a lot of you don't face that in life. How do I respond this way with my family issue that I'm dealing with right now? How do I approach getting more income or cutting some expenses? How do I deal with these health challenges that are here? How do I deal with these difficult personalities that I'm dealing with either in my family or at my church or at my workplace? How do I deal with my child or my teenager as I seek to direct them the right way, be firm and yet a loving parent? How do I do these things? I don't know. I think there's going to be times in life, if you're like me, where you have to say to God, hey, I need wisdom because honestly, I don't know what to do. It's okay. God already knows that. I don't know why so many of us feel like we come to God and have to go to God like, okay, God, so I've managed to figure out how to take care of this, and yeah, I'm being responsible and I'm covering my responsibilities. It's okay to go to God sometimes and saying, God, please help me because I don't know what to do. I find that the older I get, the more I realize I don't know what to do. The more I try to live for him and do the things that he's called me to do in life, the more I have to go and admit to him humbly, I don't know what to do. Show me. And that's what this verse is talking about. If you lack wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He's going to give you that wisdom. He's going to reveal it. And check this out. It says, he will not rebuke you for asking. I love that. Don't be sitting there going, I can't ask God that because he's going to say that's a stupid question. He's going to say, how could you ask me that? He's going to say, you should already know that. No, it says he will not rebuke you for asking. He's never going to rebuke you for asking for wisdom. Even if you think you know what to do, God, is this right or is this not? If it's not the direction I should go, can you shut the door right there? If it is the direction that I should go, can you fling it wide open? He will not rebuke you for asking. But check this out now, verse 6. It says, but when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. This is what a lot of people do in life when it comes to their walking with God and their faith and making decisions in life. They'll ask God, but at the same time, they'll be asking and getting advice from other people. They'll be checking a horoscope. They'll be looking for lucky charms. They won't walk under ladders. They won't spill salt over their shoulder. They won't do all these different things. It's like they're trying to cover their bases in a million different ways. They have superstitions. No. All in or all out. Make a choice. God is saying, hey, don't just make me as one of the things that might work. It says, when you ask him, be sure your faith it's not in yourself. It's not in a lucky charm. It's not in others. It's not in a lucky number. It's not in your stars type of reading or your palm reading or anything like that. Ask God alone. God does not want to have anybody else taking his place. We are to worship him and him only and not have any idols. All right? So make sure it's in faith alone. Do not waver. So in other words, when he tells us what to do, don't go, oh, well, but is that really going to work? I don't know if I can really do that. And then try something else. It says, no, do not waver, for a person who is divided with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Now, I don't know if you get that imagery in your head. I actually grew up just a few miles from the beach in West Los Angeles. And when we go to the water, I thought one of the things that was cool is the waves would come in and then they would go out. Is as a kid, I loved to watch a beach ball out there. You just kind of throw it out there and the tide would start taking it out and it would go out for a while and then the wave would come and it would fling it back and it would start coming all the way to the shore. It would go out and back and forth. It would be tossed with the waves. The beach ball seemed to have no ability to take its own direction by itself. It would just go whatever way the wave was beating or not beating at that particular moment. And this is what the Bible likens us to when we're saying that we're asking God, but at the same time, we're not trusting and we're not following his advice and we're trying other things and we're just all over the place. It says, a man like that is unsettled as a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. Just kind of like no sense of direction. Maybe you've been feeling that way yourself, as if you're just kind of like bouncing around life according to the circumstances that are happening. You know, one day it's good and you're feeling happy because things are going your way, and then there comes a wave. Beats you down, under you go, back you go. We're going forward, now you're back. Going forward, now you're back. It's like there's no purpose, there's no certainty, there's nothing in life. I know too many people that are like this. They're just driven by circumstances and emotions and carried that way every single day. You got to be careful about this. It tells us that a person that is like that, verse 7, such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Wow. Did you hear what that just said? Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. So, in other words, what it's saying is, if you're not all in, if you're not believing, if you're not willing to follow the wisdom that God is telling you when you pray, if you're just kind of divided, oh, I hope this works. let me say a prayer. Oh yeah, you get this a lot. Maybe you're listening to this podcast and you just do what you want to do and you're not really following God. But then when things get bad and you know that there are people that are pretty committed to God, you go, hey, can you do me a favor and pray for this? But in your head, you're like asking them to pray for it because you don't think you're going to receive anything from God. And part of that is because you're like asking them to pray for it, but you're still taking these measures this way and doing this that way. And you're just trying everything. So, oh yeah, prayer won't hurt. Prayer never hurts. Maybe that'll just help a little bit. No, it says that don't expect to receive an answer or anything from the Lord when that's your attitude. All right, we got to be all in. We got to be trusting. We got to know that God answers. We got to be willing as he reveals things to go and take the steps that he's telling us to do in faith, because that's the way that we should be. And it says, if we're not that way, don't expect to receive anything. Why? Because their loyalty, it says, is divided between God and the world. And they are unstable in everything they do. Now, I want to ask you this question right now. Do you know people in your life that you would consider pretty much unstable in everything they do? They're just all over the place. All right? One day they're fine, the next day they're not. One week all's good, the next week it's not. They're just unstable in all their ways. Can I ask you another question? Would that actually define you? Because if it does, and you've been doing this for a long time, let me tell you, there's a way to change that. There's a way to change that, and that way to change it is to get going with God, placing your faith in him, looking for the answers that he's going to give you, following the wisdom that he gives you, all in faith, trusting him 100%. That'll start to change your life. But until you do that, until you focus on him and take things that way, you know what's going to happen? You're just going to continue like you have for years to be just tossed all around, back and forth, unstable, no stability. That's what's missing in so many people's lives. All right, I hope that this lesson has encouraged you today. I hope it's giving you some sense of direction of where you need to go, because I would hate for you to continue on, if that's where you've been, in that floundering type of situation that you've been for so many years, because you just have no peace that way. And I see way too many that are experiencing that. I hope that you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that you've clicked the subscribe button or the little thing that's under there if you're watching it on YouTube or whatever platform that you are doing this. And you know what? This is actually episode number 70. So it's a great thing. Episode number 70. I was just looking at the director because sometimes I mess up the episode numbers. And so that's kind of a milestone. And we have some great things coming up, some great interviews coming up in the future too. So subscribe, share these podcasts with others. And I'm waiting to hear from some of you about some subjects that you would want us to cover on the podcast, either with people or just to teach directly. I want to be able to serve you in that way. Be sure to contact me at jgothier@gmail.com or on Facebook or on Instagram at jgothier. It's always great to share with you. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been the Audacious Faith Podcast. God bless.